My why is because I believe every single person deserves to be heard. That every single person has greatness within them.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Master Your Life. I'm Kate McKay and I am thrilled to introduce my guest for today, Staci Gray. Welcome, Staci.
It's great to connect here with you, Kate.
I'm super pumped. So we are in similar space with just a different angle. And this is what I love, that we can talk and play about what we do and our commitment to make impact in the world. First, I'm just going to do a little bio on you, and then we're going to get right on into it, as I say. Staci Gray has over 2 decades of experience organizing real-world businesses to scale. She puts an emphasis on quickly collapsing the gap between ideas and profits by persistently executing for progress and results. And that is no fine and easy task. She envisions a world where innovative leaders are no longer trapped by operational chains and chaos, and instead are empowered to efficiently and effectively solve real-world problems, impact real people on a human level, and generates profits quickly. She loves coming alongside mission-driven leaders who are using their ideas and influence and intellect to build successful businesses and empower all those around them. That's a pretty incredible bio you got there. So were you always interested in business? I mean, it's such an interesting thing when I meet people that are just so passionate about helping companies and individuals thrive.
Well, since you love stories, I'll tell you a story about how I got started. I did independent studies growing up, so I did a lot of sports. I played club soccer and did all kinds of things. So I did independent studies and graduated high school at 16. And my father was in the real estate investing, real estate education space. And he didn't want me to go to college because I was 16. So he said, come work with me for 2 years. And if at 18 you want to go to college, you can. And so I went and started working with him at 16. I just started answering phones and taking registrations for events and seminars. And this was 22 years ago. And maybe 6-9 months into that, I was like, I don't want to answer phones anymore. This is boring. Can I do something different? And he said, sure, but you have to hire and train your replacement. And he handed me a copy of E-Myth by Michael Gerber. And that was my introduction into organizing businesses. So I read that book. I created my first standard operating procedures and manual and checklist. And then I placed an ad in Craigslist because that's where we hired back then.
Oh, yes.
And then I hired somebody, trained them. And then I was like, oh no, I've got to lead, manage, and hold this person accountable. I'm not a leader. I'm 16 years old. I don't know what I'm doing. And so then I dove headfirst into leadership books and management books. And I read Jim Rohn and Zig Ziglar and Brian Tracy and John Maxwell, just all of the leadership philosophers at the time. And that proceeded to me organizing businesses. And I continued to do that. I didn't go to college. So I have been in the trenches organizing real businesses. I then bought my first property at 18 years old. And I made a lot of money young. And then I lost everything, which was one of my best lessons, is I realized that money didn't define me. And then we were off. Before we started recording, we were talking about being 54. And when my mother was 54, she was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And that was my second round of really diving headfirst into business, because at that time we had about 7 family businesses. And my dad was working 16, 18-hour days, 7 days a week. And my mom's clock was ticking. And so he had asked me to come back. I had gone off and I had done other businesses and done my own thing. And then when my mom got diagnosed with cancer, he said, can you come back and run the companies? And so I said, yes, but I want time with her as well. And I've learned a few things since I did it at 16. And I want to implement these workflows and processes and right people in the right seats and scorecards and metrics and accountability, so we're not drowning in operational chaos. And so I implemented all of that. And I spent the last 18 months of my mom's life with her. And I was there holding her hand when her soul transitioned.
Mm.
And then that was the launch pad for doing even more businesses, because all of our clients of our family businesses were business owners, entrepreneurs, investors, real estate developers, construction, property management. They just were successful business owners. And they asked me if I could do for them what I had done in our family businesses.
Mm.
And I was like, I have no idea. I don't know if I can do it, but I will give it a go. You bring your intelligence and IP around your industry, and I'll bring frameworks and processes and hiring and training and values and culture and all of that. And it turns out I could do it. So then I went on to organize and scale businesses. So I've been doing that the last 22 years.
That's incredible. Your father must be very proud, and your mother too.
Yes.
Your
Yes.
dad's probably like, so you basically at 16 started your MBA.
Yes, that's exactly right. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. That's incredible. I love the story, and I'm sorry about your mom, and that's so ironic to 54, dude.
Mhm.
You know, that's just wild that that I lost my son at 54 and you lost your mom. It's just crazy, you know. It's like, how interesting. What year was that?
She passed away in 2019. She passed away at 59, but she was diagnosed with cancer at 54. So she passed away. We're coming up on 5 years.
And what did you love about her the most? What were her qualities that you just loved?
My favorite thing that I loved about her, or there's two things. One is she made messy things beautiful. So life is messy, relationships can be messy, business can be messy, and she had a way of bringing joy and happiness. And I always used to say, and can I use language on here?
Yeah, please.
What I would say, if I have to shovel manure, she's the only person I want to shovel shit with, because
Yes.
she would make it fun. She'd be like, there's got to be a pony in here somewhere, like life was just joyful, even
Mm,
when it was hard, even when it was messy, even when things went south or it didn't go as planned. She just had a way of bringing humor to humanity.
mm,
And I really, really appreciated that. The other thing that I loved about her is she valued the dinner table. She valued bringing people together and breaking bread with people and sharing ideas and making memories. And I think that I've witnessed, especially in us building businesses, that we can get so caught up in building our businesses that we lose our relationships and we lose our connections with people that we love and we care about. And we say we're building our businesses for our families. We say we're making money for our families, and we're sacrificing our dinner tables in the pursuit.
Oh my gosh, it's so metaphorical in a way too, because that's basically what you do in business, that you bring joy to the mess for people, and also you bring people to the board table or the dinner table or whatever that is. It's, you are doing your mom's work, boo.
Yes.
You're
Yes,
like,
that's what I say. We're restoring dinner tables one boardroom at a time.
oh my gosh, that's powerful.
Mhm.
That's a book title or something.
Mhm.
Really, really powerful. So, what is the pivot for you? Because you're dealing with a lot of people that are overwhelmed and taxed out and unsure and not clear on their purpose and not, clear on their mission. And they've spent a lifetime potentially. And you being an athlete, I love it that you have an athletic background. So I know your spirit, because from one athlete to the other. Most people who are high performers or successful people have gone from fire to fire to fire, right? Game to game to game to game, Super Bowl, right? It's just the way that they've lived. And yet you meet them at a different place and help them move to another place. Can you talk a little bit about that process?
Yeah. So most of the people that I work with feel like they're drowning in operational chaos. They're on the verge of losing their sanity. Their relationships are suffering. They feel like their business looks like their kitchen junk drawer. They have a revolving door of people. They feel like they have a lot of staff, but no leaders. They feel like they want to get more done and they're just constantly behind the 8 ball. And they usually come to me when they've hit this enough is enough. I can't keep operating like this. I've got to do something different. And they've typically tried all the things. And that's when I say to them, you're ready. And they'll say, I'll do whatever it takes.
They want, right? Talk to me about that, because I mean, you do work mostly with men or even?
Historically, it's been mostly men, but recently it's been more women, which I'm excited about because women are getting into that business world.
I
But
know that's a good thing.
yes.
So do they even know what they want?
Well, I think in one word, they want freedom. But when they really get down to what it is that they want, they don't know. And they think they want time freedom. They think they want location freedom. They think they want financial freedom. And in a lot of ways, they've achieved some level of that. And then they wake up in their dream life, but it didn't feel like they thought it would. And that's because they sacrificed their internal freedom. They lost their joy. They lost their peace. They lost their love. They lost their connection. And so what they want really is alignment. They want their inner world and their outer world to be congruent. And it is big. And sometimes the hurdle that they think it is external. If I just had the right leader, if I just had the right systems, if I just had a few more clients, then it would be solved. And so they're in this perpetual state of survivor mode. I just got to get around this kernel. I just got to get this speaking engagement. I just got to finish my book. I've just got to do this. And then they get there and then they move the target on themselves. And it's like, no, but then it's just this one other thing. And so we have to deconstruct a psychological construct that they've operated in, and they've had this lens on life that is materializing the results in their external world. And when we go deeper, we realize that their reason for being is something different than what they're doing, and they're missing it.
You have to be, in some ways, a counselor, a spiritual guide, a coach, a trainer, a consultant. I mean, that requires many hats and a fair amount of diplomacy, but that is a tricky ride. So how do you do that in a way? First of all, have you experienced that same sense of not being in alignment?
Yes. So the thing that I love is that when I first organized and scaled businesses, I did it more from the COO seat. So I was president, integrator in that seat. And I've sat in every seat. I've been individual contributor, I've been marketing, I've been sales, I've been ops, I've been F&A, I've been in all the seats. And I've been trapped in over 50 businesses in different seats. And I loved all of that. And then I got trapped as a founder. And that was like, oh my gosh, I'm getting the lesson from their seat now. And it was amazing. So now I feel like I could speak to it, not just from witnessing it, but from also personally experiencing it. And what happens is when we start businesses, we do it because we see a problem we want to solve. And we're highly capable people. We're high performance, we're high functioning, and we believe we can solve it. And we do. We create a product or service that solves a problem. And then it creates some type of demand, the floodgates open, and then somebody comes to us and says, I have the problem, and you're like, I can fix it. We keep saying yes. We say yes, 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 yes. And then we get ourselves into a dynamic that is unmanageable. Like we are overcommitted, we're over leveraged, we're over capacity, and we don't know how to say no. And worse is our identity has been fully wrapped up in the business. It is who we are. So if we say no, we're like, who am I? What's my identity? And so the transition away from your identity being attached to your business, it being who you are, is the psychological deconstruction to reconstruct. And we have a process that we do, my partner and I, she developed it. Actually, she went through it herself and then she did it with me, and it's amazing. And it's called reason for being. We all have a reason that we exist, that our soul, like you and I were talking about before, like a soul contract, we are in our human bodies for a reason, and we're here to deliver on something. And when we can deeply connect with what that thing is, it manifests in multiple ways. It could be in a business, but it could also be in a relationship. It could also be in how you are being in line when you get your coffee, or in your long commute. Like if you're letting somebody over, we have an essence, an aura, a way of being. And when we know what it is and we can offer it to ourselves and we can offer it to the people around us, we gain that level of alignment because we're clear. And it can be manifested or materialized in so many different ways. Therefore, we don't have to white knuckle just the business that we're in, or white knuckle just the relationship that we're in, or white knuckle the job we're in, or any of the things, because that is just only one expression of us. There's so many other ways we can express our reason for being.
So how does that feel for you to say that? Because It's so interesting to hear all of your success and then this whole deeper, soulful way of approaching the beingness, especially from a person like you who were so successful. And I have to tell you, I love the image. Yeah, remember that game we used to play? Like you chase it around and whoever gets out of the seat, what's a duck, duck, goose?
Yes, duck, duck, goose, yeah.
You being the duck and the duck and the duck, a CEO and founder and COO and you know, like you dancing on all those seats is hysterical. And I think all I can see is a meme of you personally in each one of
gosh.
duck, duck, goose.
Oh my gosh, let somebody create that. I want to see it.
Oh my gosh, that is so good. Well, I have it in my mind so clear, and I think you kind of do too. So you being that person that was always afraid, or maybe not afraid of whatever that was, whatever was driving you, that you were going to lose the seat. I think that's the challenge, right? And how do we back it up and decide that we get to choose the chair? We get to choose the positioning, and we also get to decide who's around, just like your mom, like you bringing up your story, your mom, and the grace that your mom had and bringing people together at the table, that we get to decide who's at that table that we want to serve and also to collaborate with. It's like Jesus had his disciples, right? It's so symbolic. There was a reason, and he didn't pick necessarily, all the super do-gooders. Everyone was kind of mismatched and broken and, did their things, right? So I think that that's a beautiful part about coming together. So how have you made that transition from that person that could do it all, right? Even being with your mom, managing all these companies and having a beautiful time with your mom as you let your mom go on her journey home. And then on the other side of that, did that experience change you, or was there something else that facilitated this greater depth of understanding?
I think there was a series of events that transpired. I think that there was an awakenment. There were several encounters and several awakenments that I think I often, and this is what I've witnessed too, is you see how you seek external success for internal validation to prove to yourself that you're worthy, that you're valuable, that you're of significance. And the world contributes to this because we say things like, you are what you do. And that's only one side of the coin. We have innate value and then we have market value. Your market value is what you
say that again.
So we have innate value. Yes, God-given value. We have innate value and we have market value. And the market says you are what you do because it's transactional. But transactional is the lowest frequency. And so to elevate or transcend, we have to get into the seat of our innate value where we're whole and complete and lacking nothing. And then we create from that space.
She's dropping and I love your use of language. It's so gorgeous. Like the whole idea that we do have to deconstruct to reconstruct and put it back together. And that process is, I love it that you're working with the process with your partner. And then this awakenment, it's such a beautiful way of expression, isn't it? Because it has wonder in it. It has the wonder, the innate wonder of who we are and who we came here to be.
Yes. And I think you're also speaking to, when we sit in a frame of judgment, we block curiosity, and wonderment is really curious. And when we live in a frame of judgment, we're really living in a frame of blame. And a real great litmus test for anybody to know if you're living in a frame of blame is if you invest time complaining or wishing things were different than how they are. When we complain or blame, whether we're blaming ourselves, we're blaming another, or we're blaming a circumstance, we're living in a container of judgment. And that frame is disempowering. And so when we can elevate and transcend it and say, this is happening for me, even though it was challenging that my mother was diagnosed with cancer, even though it was challenging that she passed at 59 years old, even though it was challenging that I got trapped in my business, even though it was challenging that I had a health crisis, even though all of these things are happening, they're happening for me. It was part of my sacred contract. I came here to experience these things so that I could evolve and I could grow and I could integrate and that I could action it in a way that is impactful for the people that I come across in my day-to-day life. And I like doing things. And I don't think it's either or. Like the very woo-woo spiritual side is like, you aren't what you do, just be flowy. Well, when I get into that state and I have no structure and no container, I lose myself. I'm not able to be even of value to myself in the world. And then when I operate way more in the structure frame where all I am is defined by my actions or what I do, I become robotic and I lose touch with my soul and I lose touch with my empathy. And so for me, the journey has been integration. It's been, I am both. I am the fluid, feminine flow, soul in a meat suit. And I am an action oriented, get shit done, make it happen doer. And the journey is integrating the part of me that loves to dream and be a fairy dust and the part of me that is like, no, where's the rubber meet the road? Let's get shit done. And I want to be both. And the journey to be both, I think, is a personal journey. And for me, the way that I could walk down that path was to walk it with curiosity without any blame for myself, another, or the circumstances, because the circumstances are coming into my life and across my path so that I can become the type of person that I came here to be. It's a journey, it's an evolution for me of becoming.
That's so beautifully stated. Yes, so beautiful. I have a question for you that I have with my clients that are women, because a lot of the clients that I have are alphas or strong, successful women. Alpha being just independent and not needing a lot of, strokes and having to be part of a clique, just owning your own power. And I'm honored to be one. But it's an interesting foray because I think a lot of women who are alpha are also what would be viewed as competitive, right? But you like to win, right? Yeah.
I do. I enjoy achievement.
Yeah.
Like I enjoy saying I'm going to climb this mountain and I climb the mountain.
Right. And so how do we embrace that or talk about competition and winning as a healthy aspect for women and men? Because I think part of our culture is like you playing that down a little bit. But I mean, I do believe that winning is, going after a win is for me as an achievement. But yet there's such a negative connotation with wanting to win.
There's a really good book by Patrick Bet-David. It's Choose Your Enemies Wisely.
He's awesome.
And I think when we talk in the frame of competition, we often look at it against each other, right? I want to beat this company. I want to beat this team. I want to beat somebody else. And I think that frame is what creates some of the negative connotation around competition. And I think I love competing in containers of competition, right? I go race cars and I like to beat everybody on the track because I'm allowed to. That's fun.
Yes.
And I think that when we talk of it in terms of my personal achievement, like what I want to achieve in my life, in my business, in my relationships, what I'm competing against is not somebody else. What I'm trying to dominate is not somebody else. What I'm trying to dominate is the demons in me that are blocking me from my fullest evolution. And that is, I think, what's the new frontier is what's within. And we make it about external, but it's not. Like the mountain is me, and the storm is me, and the storm is you. And the storm is the narrative we give to things, the meaning we give to things. And is it healthy for us or is it unhealthy for us? Is it creating more peace, love, joy, and alignment, or is it creating more fragmentation and fear and isolation? And we all know what those things are for us. We know that if we're doom scrolling or we are complaining about a competitor, or if we're saying we're going to do something but we don't follow through, then we're just in a battle with ourselves, and we can blame it around our external. But really the competition is who is inside of you, the little voice on one side and the little voice on the other side. That is the competition. And I think when we choose our enemies wisely, it's not about the external. And so it's not competitive in you have to lose for me to win. We could both win.
Yeah, right. And it's also, I love it. I think I heard Tony Robbins talking about it. Like, the prefix of competition is COM, which is community. It's like basically, as you said, we seek the container of other people wanting to attain their highest and best self. And there's no better way to do it than put yourself in a container with other people that will make you uncomfortable enough to reach past your own internal threshold. And I think that's the greatest call for me. Much of my success was very much done in solo. that there was no one like me. I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, so there wasn't anyone that was like me. And so now at my age, I'm looking to seeking more of a community of other people that are A gaming that I don't have to play small for, because my entire life I've always felt like I was two of something. Right?
I can relate. I can relate.
Right? Yeah, so you know what I'm saying. And so I appreciate that you and I can A game in this container and we can celebrate each other. What do you think about the concept that the glass ceiling isn't men, but it could also be women for women? Because I think there's a lot of women that don't support other women.
You don't invest a lot of time in that thought narrative, because what I view it as is the new frontier is what's within. So my ceiling is my ceiling, right? And so
Right.
if I think that someone else can talk about there being a glass ceiling, and in my psychological construct, I believe that to be true, then I am adopting a narrative into my psychological construct that is creating that. And so I don't choose that. I mean, people have asked me the same question in terms of like, you're the only woman at the table, and how does that feel for you? And do you feel like you're less than, or you're at a disadvantage, or do you think you're at an advantage because you're the only woman, and all these things? And I choose not to view my world in that way. I have loved all of the men in my life that have been running mates for me. I love it. They cheer me on. They help me. They're a mirror to me. They remind me of who I am when I've fallen down, but women have done that for me too. And so I've been so blessed to have different running mates that come alongside me. And some of those running mates are the ones that are hecklers, and they're running mates for me too, because you motivate me as well. And so I get to choose the narrative and story I give it, and I don't have to adopt what the world has decided that they want to call it.
Yeah, that's so good. And I think we need more of that. And, if you haven't written a book on that, you need to, because it's your unique languaging and spin on something that I've heard little bits and pieces on. But I think it's an entire thesis that you've actually developed it. And I think it's very well cooked. And so if you're not writing it, get on it, girl.
One of my goals is to write a book. And my challenge has been is I have so many ideas about books I want to write.
Right.
And some people want my memoir, and I thought, well, maybe someday I'll write my memoir, but I just feel like I'm still writing the story, so I can't write that yet.
Right.
And
well, I would just say to you, all of the notes that I've taken on this call, because that's all I do when I'm listening to somebody, because it's so interesting, is that I probably have 10 chapter titles for you right here looking at and seriously, right? So just even if you just do it as a blog post, this is my advice for you, that all of my books are written because I had a column. So I had to write an article every fourth Wednesday. So I had a column. So I knew I had a deadline. And so every article that I wrote became a chapter of a book.
Yes.
Become a blog post, and it becomes a newsletter, And so I would say start with one paragraph, one blog, because you have everything, and it won't even take you that long. And I promise you, you're going to get so much satisfaction from this. It's going to blow your mind. You're going to call me and go, Kate, I cannot believe it wasn't even that hard, because you have all the knowledge, even if you just turn your phone on. Because I did, when my mom died last October, I spent the month of November. I'm like, I got to write my memoir. And I hand wrote a lot of it because I tend to handwrite creatively. And then I spoke it into my phone. So I just opened up a Word doc, a Google Doc, and I just told stories from my childhood. And I just from my whole life. And I got up, and they were random, and they're all in one Google folder, but it's like 52,000 words. And, in November, I'm going to drop this on you. In November, NaNoWriMo, it's a worldwide organization, and everyone writes a book for the month of November. And you have to set a number of words that you write each day. And it's just like, you could just look at it as like a journal. Like, I'm going to write 1,000 words a day. It's going to be 30,000 words. If you do 1,500, it's obviously 50,000. And that's pretty much a standard Word doc for a book. But you got that in you, and I can't wait to be your running mate. I promise I won't heckle you, but I will cheer you on. You are brilliant. You are unique. And I'm so grateful that you've introduced me to your mom, who I feel through you. I truly, truly do feel her with us. And I'm so grateful that you introduced me to her, because she's my sister, because she's the same age as me, right? Your mom and I are the same age. So I'm super grateful. So any ways that people can play with you? I know you've done all of this work in business development and now you're working a little bit differently. Can you just give a little frame out of how people can hear more about what you do and ways that they can play with you, Staci?
Yeah, so what we are still have some boutique clients that we're working with one-on-one, and that is for people who are organizing to exit their businesses or feel like they've hit a ceiling and want to help operationalize it and streamline their messaging and their efficiency. So we have that. And then I have a podcast, so people can go listen to The Rooted Founder. I interview amazing people on there and talk about the journey of organizing to scale your businesses and how important it is to also organize and scale yourself in that process. And I also am very active on Instagram. So if you want to connect, you can connect with me there. So to connect for any of that, you can send an email to scale@organizetoscale.com. That's scale@organizetoscale.com. And you'll get access to all my Instagram, to my podcast, to free offerings about our frameworks for organizing and scaling businesses, as well as yourself.
Yeah. And, just again, the words that you've used, just the awakenment. If that isn't a book title, that could be it. I'm going to be the biggest pain in your butt, Staci. You'd be like, Kate, stop messaging me. Why'd I
Let's do it.
Why'd I give her
Well, you're encouraging me because I've been journaling since 1993, and I have every journal since 1993, and I love to write. So I've probably written 1,000 words every single day since 1993. So I have a lot of books.
Share it. Share
Okay.
it. You are a best-selling author already, just in your thesis of what you know. You already are. You already are a huge thought leader and a change agent for people. And people need to hear more of you. And your written word, I guarantee, is just as elegant, as beautiful as you are in the way you run your business, the way you run your life, and the information you share. So thank you so much for sharing yourself with us today and my audience and your audience.
Thank you for drawing it out.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Staci. And thanks to the viewers and listeners. Isn't she incredible? Staci Gray. I'm so inspired. If you enjoyed this, please give it a like and subscribe and share it with a friend, someone that you know, and make sure to check out her podcast, Rooted Founder. I'm looking forward to playing on that as well in the future. Have a good day, everyone. And remember, we're here to deconstruct and to awaken and be amazing in who we are and who we came here to be. Until next time, be well, everyone.